tuning in to take a few moments to speak to this phrase, this frame, this perspective, this practice of embodied communion. Those of you who are local to me here in this hearth of Boulder, Colorado, know that I've been casting these events at the Starhouse, these events called Embodied Communion. And actually, the promotion side, the side of promoting this offering, has held a lot of sticking points for me. A lot of collapse has been happening for me here. And I'm very intimately aware that a huge reason for that is because this name, this phrase that I've titled this sacred container, is a living principle that is so deeply sacred to me. This idea that this wisdom in our bodies knows so much, and it actually requires very little of us. All it really requires is presence. The willingness to slow down, to feel, to be with, to allow. And this principle of embodied communion was born from my decade of intimate devotion to the concept, the principle, the living matrix of intuitive movement that's been flowing through me. And embodied communion really feels like the central core heart treasure and gift that deep, dedicated study with intuitive movement offered me. This revelation that my path towards reclamation, my path towards recalibrating, my path towards integration and revolution and rebirth actually lives in my willingness to slow down and feel and be with wherever that current of aliveness is moving. And that can be really slow and soft. It can bring us into the pool of nothingness, into our 0 point, deep resourcing, deep rest, and yes, even death. And it can bring us into powerful surges of activation, powerful surges of meeting our fluency and our capacity to hold big waves of intensity. For me, in my practice of embodied communion, it really brings me into reverence and into relationship with what I call the divine pulse, the primal pulse. This divine dance of opposition of two things seemingly at odds with one another, actually being deeply interwoven. Shadow and light, masculine, feminine, hot, cold. Inhale, exhale. Speed, slow. Full spectrum, full zero. And another prominent revelation for me in these spaces of embodied communion is realizing that usually the most profound moments of embodied and somatic and emotional and psycho-spiritual integration that happen for me usually happen within a very short window of time, something like 2 minutes. Most of my powerful recalibratory surges happen in these 2 minutes. And yet, what this cosmic joke and this cosmic paradox has also presented is in order to make space and prime my availability for those 2-minute surges, those 2-minute waves of recalibration and reset, I usually require many hours of spaciousness, of beingness and nothingness to have the receptivity to receive those. So for me, embodied communion in this moment is really a deep study of that dynamic dance and pulse. We'll see how it transforms and transmutes along the way. But if any of this resonates with and speaks to you, I'd love to bring you into this home, this hearth of the mythical magic and wisdom of our bodies, the mythical magic that lives within our cells. And another mantra that feels so powerfully central to me here in this next arc, this next cycle, season of dipping into this matrix of embodied communion is this phrase: peace lives in the cells. Thank you, Richard Rudd from the Gene Keys, for that one. That song is singing in my system these days, this revelation that peace lives in my cells. So that wisdom will be pulsing through this exploration in this container. And in addition, a lot of what prompted and initiated and invoked this cast, this channel, this transmission was the desire to invite you into your own practice of embodied resonance, your own practice of embodied articulation and amalgamation of coherence, of finding recalibration, balance, and harmony. And more permission to play in the discovery of being with and tracking and feeling for your divine pulse, your aliveness as it moves and surges through. What's your unique kaleidoscopic wave? Thank you so much for tuning in with me here. I look forward to being in bodies with some of you and connecting in the field with many others. And I hope you find your way to at least a little drip of some of your embodied mythical magic today.